Hey guys, Peter Steele here, back with another video. And I'll be honest with you, I'm bored with China. So let's look back to Europe. But because we need to do some suffering, we'll be playing as Greece. Let's go. Iron Man mode on, historical AI focuses on. Let's see if we can restore Byzantium to its former glory. After all, that's what we do. But first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, War and Order. Build your castle, expand your territory, gather resources, defeat monsters and other hostile alliances. You do not face these challenges alone. With the help of allies, you can take on the most powerful foes. War and Order is a free-to-play strategy game with over 6 years of history to its name. Over 60 million castles have already been built by lords from over 206 countries. That's a lot. In War and Order, you take on the role of a medieval lord in a fantasy setting. Manage your city and castle on the territory map, construct buildings, train troops and gather resources, then head over to the world map and fight enemies to pick a fight with. Take part in the Crown War PvP event and claim the throne for yourself. There are 4 types of units you can deploy and each type has its own skills. You need to strategically deploy troops to deal with different combat requirements. And in addition, there are beasts and angels who can assist your army in battle. You can check the battle report and replay video after each battle so that you have all the information you need to adjust your tactics. War and Order also includes some mini-games such as tower defense and army assault, so there's never a dull moment. Download War and Order now using my link in the description below or by using the QR code on screen to enjoy $60 worth of gifts. Enjoy! Now, back to the video. Greece, beacon of Balkan stability. Let's start with the army, just organize them under any general. Marcos is good, any general really. And let's just park them on Athens. Supply will be terrible enough. I'll exercise them a little bit. Now for research, I want better guns. I'm gonna need trucks because, well, supply. I need trains, but not yet. I've got some time. So instead, let's get ourselves close air support. As for construction, we'll need some air bases in Thrace to cover the terrain here properly when we do fight Turkey. After which, you could build infrastructure in Attica, helps you build faster, gives you more resources. Same for Epirus, we don't really have all that much. Dockyards, just make convoys, we'll need a lot of them. And speaking of production, I like artillery, but we've got 2 military factories. Let's just make guns and ask for anything we can get from our soon-to-be allies. Then what do we do? Focus-wise, we'll devalue the drachma because it's obviously worth too much. And before we get things going, let's just put the king under house arrest. There we go. That is the basic setup done. Now, before we get into this is a strategy based on the work of Hatless Spider. Once again, I saw his video and I figured I have to try that again. I've tweaked it here and there, but he has done a lot of good work. Check out his channel. I'll leave a link to his video down in the description below as usual. Now, let's get cracking. Greece, such a stable country with everyone trying to kill everyone else. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna get rid of the Air Force and tweak it a little bit. Now, this is a neat little trick. I just make an air wing with 1 fighter in it, set it to 100, and we'll make an air wing with 1 interwar bomber and set it to 100. What we do now is, before we unpause, just duplicate a bunch of these until every airplane we have is deployed, so they're all in a wing on their own. This will allow us to really cheese that Lend-Lease later on, and cheese it we shall. Greece needs a lot of stuff and she cannot make it on her own. Oh boy, this is gonna suck, isn't it? Okay, the Venizelists win the election. This gives us Eleftherios Venizelos, which is good. He has good traits, but it's also bad because the time of his death is pure RNG. He can die the moment I unpause now, or he can live for another 2 years. We're kind of betting on this one. If he dies before we find a replacement for our war support, I would say restart the run. Now, there is a way to avoid that, a surefire way, and that is to use the first batch of political power to crush the monarchists. This will give us the required base war support to maintain our current conscription law. We need limited conscription. Oh, we need more than limited conscription. But if Eleftherios dies, we won't have enough war support to maintain it, and the run dies. So either bet bet on him staying alive or you crush the monarchists. I'm going to roll the dice on this one because I don't like crushing the monarchists, mostly because they have some good bonuses here. So if he dies early enough, I can always just restart. There's not much we've lost there. It's a little bit of RNG. I know, it's a paradox game. Needs RNG. All right, we have devalued to drachma. It's worth even less now, and time to bring home the exiled Republicans, and we'll rush straight down all the way down here towards horror and fear and declare war on Turkey with our really half-baked army. Oh, this is gonna go so great, isn't it? First batch of political power. Let's just start out with a little bit of improved worker conditions. Now, Greece is going to be very reliant on timing, especially if we're looking to reclaim all of our former glory. We will need to time our wars with Turkey, Romania, Yugoslavia, and also, of course, Italy. So there will be cheese involved, but a little bit cheese never hurt anyone other than the AI. Hurrah, exiled Republicans. That gives us a couple of good generals, a lot of good generals, and we continue compromise with the monarchists. And we'll use our next batch of political power once we have 20 command power to expand the military high command. We'll get Napoleon here because of course you hire someone named Napoleon. Anyway, he's important to get ourselves some army experience. We're gonna need it. As for the political power, we will hang on to it for now. We have plans within plans. If only we had guns as well. All right, we have compromise with the monarchists. That allows us to hire Ioannis Metaxas, the devoted corporatist. He's pretty decent. More PP gain and more factory output. Why would anyone not pick him? I don't know. Time for some catastrophe. Oh boy. All right, we have our better guns. Let's also get ourselves some civilian trains. We're not going to be making them. We have 2 factories, but what we can do is click this button here, commandeer civilian trains. That'll keep us going for the time being. That should be enough for the early game at least. Let's also make the better guns. I know it hurts our efficiency, but now we will be sitting on quite a bit of political power for much of this run, but don't spend it every time you have the opportunity. We have some things we need to do. We need to improve relations with a lot of people who will make generous contributions, and we need to pick the right leaders and take the right decisions. Anyway, we've got our trucks and we've got our CAS. Good. Let's start by taking 1 factory off guns and make a few close air support, like 5, 6, 7, not too many, just a few so that we can make a nice deficit, and that way we can ask for stuff from our dear friends or soon-to-be friends. Now we continue the research. We will need basic machine tools. That will allow us to get radios. No, wait, not basic machine tools. Electronic engineering. That will allow us to get radio, and could pick up interwar tanks. That will allow us to ask for tanks. We will not be using all that many tanks, but all the equipment we can ask is just great. All right, let's venerate the ancient Hellenes. As for focuses, just skip every side branch. Just go straight down towards resurrecting the Megali idea, and then horror and fear when that inevitably fails. All right, we are getting some fascism events. Great. I say that, but I know how that sounds. We've built the airfields. That's good. We're now building the infrastructure. Could build a little more infrastructure. It doesn't really hurt. And once the infrastructure is built up, I'm just going to spam either military factories, or you could throw in the occasional civilian factory. It doesn't really matter. We will be getting our industry from our neighbors anyway. Hurrah, ancient Hellenes. Now Athenian thinkers. Another bonus. Turn this country into something other than a steaming pile of dung. All right, relief center. Just always pick the top option and support the EEE. That is our fascist party. All right, we have our civilian trains. Now we can click commandeer civilian trains, and we'll have a little stockpile going, so we should be good for now. We are sitting on quite a bit of political power. Could spend some of it on the army. There's bound to be something useful there, but we have other concerns. Right now, let's buddy up to some people here. We are going to improve relations with Germany, with the Italians, with the Hungarians, with the Polish, with the Soviet Union, sorry. While we're here, might as well improve relations with Iran, and all the way over here, Japan. That is a huge amount of our political power that we're spending, I am well aware, but those countries are extremely likely to have decent amounts of lend-lease available to us, and we're gonna need it. Anyway, let's get ourselves some support weapons. War is on the horizon, and after that, let's also get radios. Yeah, this is gonna hurt our political power gain, but it will be worth it, trust me. All right, Onassis. While that's going on, let's also prepare. I'm gonna split off 4 infantry units from our main army, and our main army is going to be parked on the 2 tiles here, Thessaloniki and the tile above it. Can you see what we're doing already? Then I'm gonna put this army in command of Theodoros here, because he has great supply, great attack, and he's a commando, so good for his bonuses. And we are going to use him to do some naval shenanigans. We are going to launch naval assaults, or plan naval invasions of Alexandropolis. Can you tell what we're going to do? Can you tell already? I'm just making 4 separate ones. You could make 2 separate ones. Just don't select all 4. If you keep the number of units small, you get a lot quicker planning. So this takes 7 days instead of the usual, what, 14 or 70? A lot. Anyway, a lot. Now our plan is going to be to lure Turkey into a false sense of security and let them approach Thessaloniki. And once they have a decent amount of units at our border, we're going to naval invade behind them, hit Alexandropolis, dig in there, and crush them between hammer and anvil. In theory. There are some caveats, but we'll talk about those later. Now, in preparation of that, let's also get our admiral out and set him on strike force in the Eastern Med and the Aegean Sea. Our navy is better than the Turkish navy, so we should be able to hold there. Since we're doing a lot of preparation here, let's also assign a field marshal. Alexandros Papagos is not bad, but I prefer to hire Nikolaos Plastiras. This guy, because he is a brilliant strategist, it's just a little better on the attack, I feel. And we're going to give him aggressive assaulter, offensive doctrine, and either organization first or charismatic whenever we have the command power available. Might be a while. So far, we're pretty lucky. It's November and Venizelos hasn't died yet. Our war support is looking decent. All right, Athenian thinkers, let's get the refugees. That is going to spark negotiations with the EEE. All right. Things are moving along nicely. Now I'm gonna make this last close air support, then we'll have 6 in stockpile and just move the factory back to infantry equipment. And now we either make infantry equipment, or what we could do is start making trucks. Trucks are also pretty valuable, but I think I need guns more than anything else right now. Let's also add that close air support to our pile of cheese here. Again, just move 1 airplane over, set it to an air wing of 100, and go duplicating. And we have a bunch of 1 airplane air wings. This is super annoying, but it does help us get a lot of airplanes from people. Some very generous donations there. Wow, it's 37 and Venizelos still hasn't died. This is, I feel it in my bones. This is going to be a good run. All right, we've got tanks. I'm not going to pursue this branch any further. You could, but our industry is really not there yet. So instead, either look into improving the infantry equipment. That's a little ahead of time. Let's get our interwar artillery. Also, the industry is never really a bad choice. We'll get that next. We need to be able to fight the Turks, and we will not be relying on our own industry for most of this run. No, we will just ask for stuff. Let's see, negotiations, pick the top option. And now we resurrect the Megali idea. Right, Heraklion Convention. Invite the original Sèvres signatories. Always pick the bottom option. It's going to make the convention fail, but that's what we want. Oh no, only Italy attends. The convention has failed. Now we must cancel it. And with it, the focus becomes invalid and is bypassed. Don't worry, this is all according to plan. Next step, horror and fear. We will declare war on Turkey with our ragtag army. I know. And Romania is also going to join the mix because just Turkey wasn't hard enough. No, we need the full package. I'm also converting this cavalry unit into infantry. It's just, I don't like using cavalry. All right, support weapons are done. Let's look at the industry. There we go. Venizelos is about to be replaced by that guy from Wacky Races. Dick Dastardly, I think? The EEE launch a coup. We must answer for our failures. Click that button. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Dick Dastardly is now in charge of Greece, and we are proper fascists. Yeah, okay. 40 more days and we declare on Turkey. We have improved relations with pretty much anyone who matters, so we should be able to get a nice amount of lend-lease from those people. Now in preparation, we could go up to extensive conscription, or I could get like 3 more army experience. Yeah, I'm gonna exercise my army to get 3 more army experience a little quicker. So we get 35, and with 35, I can get state service to military. More PP gain, hurrah, but also cheaper conscription law cost, so every little bit helps. We're gonna need to mobilize a lot of Greeks to fight this war. All right, radio is done. Now, I'm not gonna tell you what to research, just make sure you keep your infantry equipment going. Same for the artillery. Look into keeping the Air Force sorta kinda up to date. It does help. And your industry, just the basics of every other run. There's nothing special to be done at this point. Just keep your stuff up to date, whichever you're using. I don't go for tanks though. Your industry will not support it. And 35 army experience. Stop the exercises. Let's get these units digging in. We will now go to officer corps. We will select state serfs. The military, perfect, and limited conscription becomes extensive conscription. We need a lot of Greeks in the army. Speaking of the army, let's also train a couple of infantry units, get a nice deficit going. Same for some trucks and some tanks. So 4 tanks, 4 trucks, and about 6 infantry units. Just deploy them close to the front, where the front is going to be, and leave them at a normal priority. What this does is give us a massive deficit, and we are going to exploit that to the max. We are going to beg people for equipment, and they'll give it to us because they're just that nice. Okay, a couple more days and things should be very interesting. All right, horror and fear is done. Turkey has called Romania in. We are at war. Next step, revive the double-headed eagle. Byzantium will be great once again. Now what we do is start a round of begging. Just going to request lend-lease from everyone we just improved relations with. Just ask for anything at all. Tanks, guns, airplanes. Italy is very generous at that point, so Italy is going to be a good friend. And not only is Italy going to be a good friend, they're a future enemy, so we're going to justify a war goal, retake core state, the Dodecanese. Don't worry, they don't mind all that much. Now for Germany, again, just request lend-lease. Germany doesn't have a lot of stuff because they are building up their army still. They are rushing out troops, but usually you can get some support equipment, some trucks, some tanks, and a little bit of air from them. Now what we're also going to do here, and this may seem odd, we're going to justify a war goal on a random German state. Yes, I know. Again, Germany doesn't really mind all that much. It's just a 10 modifier, minus 10, and we're not gonna let this finish. This is just here to push world tension over 40 or 50%, allowing people like Poland and Hungary to lend-lease us. And that's really why we're here, just to get their guns and their equipment. Because Poland is very, very generous with its equipment. Considering they're that tiny, they do give quite a bit of stuff away. Soviet Union, not so much. They are lacking massive amounts of equipment. And Japan starts out pretty weak in the lend-lease department, but when they ramp up their war with China, they tend to also offer very, very good lend-lease. Anyway, next up, we also need to click this button. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it hasn't showed up yet. I'll slow the game down. Where is the war propaganda? There we go. War propaganda against Turkey. We need our war support up and ideally our stability as well. We do have the political power available. We could crush the communists, but I prefer to befriend them. It's a much nicer bonus, so we'll wait with that. For now, let's just hoard this political power. We might have use for it still. Again, go into your recruit and deploy. Make sure reinforcements are at a high priority. Same for garrisons, and let's just let the rest of these things fill in as our lend-lease slowly filters in. Our air force can be set to support the Aegean, air superiority, close air support, naval strike, port strike, and logistics strike. The idea is that we want to damage the Turkish Navy. If the Turkish Navy is damaged, it will not be available to intercept our little naval invasion of Alexandropolis. And just make sure your navy stays on strike force. We are more than capable of keeping the Turks at bay, but we need to keep these guys on strike force. Anyway, that is the basic setup done. Now we just have a very sweaty run trying to defeat Turkey. This will require micromanagement. We will do about 3 encirclements in this area to destroy most of their Turkish army. After the 3rd one is done, let's just check on their troop numbers, and that is when we pounce. This is where we make or break the run, and there's very little you as the player can do about it. In theory, the Turkish army is going to walk up to Thessaloniki and start attacking us, or at least sit on that border. However, sometimes, and this happens more often lately, I don't know why, but in my last couple of runs, they've always done this. They leave troops on Alexandropolis. It's like the AI can smell your plans, and if they put a unit there, you're fucked. Like, there's no other way to say this. You are screwed. Even if you defeat it, it's a mountain tile, so it will take forever, and your units are subpar. They're under strength. Plus, they will be at sea for a godless amount of time, meaning the Turkish Navy is just going to continuously sink your convoys, and that is just a huge pile of dung. Another thing is Romania. Usually Romania doesn't really do anything, but sometimes they manage to scrape by just enough brain power to actually send troops into Turkey, and that can really screw you, especially if they dig in on the Bosporus Strait or the tile behind it. If they do, again, you're fucked, because all you can do about that is either withdraw and hope the AI moves. The AI really doesn't like to move into open tiles anymore, so they might just sit there and know that they're screwing you, or just bash your head endlessly against this tile hoping you can break through. Even if you do, you're usually going to be off the timer by months, resulting in some really terrible things later down the line, mostly regarding Italy and Germany. That's the bad news done. Let's see if we can actually get this run to work. I'm gonna give this guy offensive doctrine. I'm gonna give this guy improv expert. Now, if I only had a naval invader, I would give him amphibious, but alas, no such luck. At least I don't think I have a general that has naval invader. No, none of them do. Oh well, and now we'd wait a little. I think they'll have about 6 divisions to move in here, so I just want to be sure they've moved their divisions in. It looks like they're attacking, so they're probably ready. I'm gonna launch my naval invasion, and I hope to God they don't have anyone sitting there dug in on Alexandropolis. There we go, we have taken Alexandropolis. These units will now dig in. The other units here will go off the fallback line, a regular front line. I said a regular front line, thank you. And just start attacking aggressively. And we'll crush the Turkish army there. And we'll do that a couple of times until we've reduced their army size. Meanwhile, keep looking at your lend-lease. Keep that lend-lease flowing. And one more thing, if you're really annoyed with the Turkish Navy, which I bet you will be, you can go to trade and trade for some oil. You'll need it anyway. You need fuel. And trade with somebody who has no land connection. So everything comes in by convoy. I'll pick the Dutch East Indies. That gives us a trade route down here. And what that does is it allows convoys to flow through there, and they might bait the Turkish Navy into attacking those instead of our troop carriers. So it's a little thing that might help. No guarantees though. We'll have to see how this plays out. Now we just need to pay attention to these 4 units on Alexandropolis and hope they don't die, and keep the air force over the land now and crush their army. Then we'll withdraw to that original front line. We'll pull these guys back to the port, and we'll just repeat that 2 or 3 times. It was a lot easier if you can just do it around Istanbul, but Paradox will not let us have any fun, so it is what it is. All right, lend-lease is coming in. I'm not going to keep this in the video. Cancel all the lend-leases every time you get a batch and just start a fresh run. And as the lend-lease flows in, our units will actually start getting their yellow bars filled, so these become combat capable over time. Really, the only risk we take is losing some of these due to the low strength if they get intercepted, and, well, they are encircled for the duration of this operation, so that is a potential problem. It's a risk. It's a risk we have to take. And we're about to crush a good portion of the Turkish army there. I think this 5 or 6 divisions we've destroyed with this maneuver, so it's a start. And those units are crushed, and we withdraw back to our main front line, and the units in Alexandropolis can also retreat and go home, and we'll set up another naval invasion of Alexandropolis. Fun fact, you can plan this while you're actually just targeting your own territory. I've just got an idea as well. I am going to use 2 of them to target the tile next to Alexandropolis instead of Alexandropolis proper, because I want to see what that does. Usually I do my testing not when I'm going live, but I had an idea. I want to see if it works. And so we're constantly ping-ponging our air force between the sea whenever we are preparing the naval invasion and execute it, and then back to the land whenever we are moving to crush the Turkish army. I know this may not be the most interesting gameplay, but it works. All right, the double-headed eagle has been revived. We cannot continue here. Oh wait, no, we can. We'll take Federati, and then we move on to the industry branch and utilize our strength. All right, let's launch another naval invasion. Let's see if this works. So they're guarding Alexandropolis, but if I can land next to that, I can just clean up there. And in preparation, the infantry in Thessaloniki can also start their offensive. And now we crush another portion of the Turkish army. Instead of just pinning everything on Alexandropolis, you could also try to attack the tile next to it. That's usually unguarded, and you can use that to support attacks on Alexandropolis proper. That's a good portion of the Turkish army once again crushed. Meanwhile, industry, I'm going with outburst. I have a feeling that's going to be better. Now, we do have quite a bit of political power. We could spend some of it. We have the war support now to go to war economy. It's expensive, but might be worth it. But we are going to hold out for a little bit longer if we can get our war support up a little bit more. When we finish Federatoi, we are almost there for total mobilization, and then we can do women in the workforce. That will be so much better for our economy. Plus, after that, we will be befriending the communists for even more stability and manpower. So hold on to that political power. I know you guys want to spend it, but trust me, it's worth holding on to. Okay, units are starting to reach the threshold where we can force deploy them. So do that and keep queuing up additional units so we can keep our deficit as high as possible. Just add these to the offensive units. That will push out from Thessaloniki, not extra naval invasions. Don't need those. Try to get another encirclement in. And it looks like it's successful. So move in, close that up, and probably push past Istanbul at this point. Might want a little more than this amount of units. This is quite low, so maybe one more encirclement, but we'll see. I'm gonna do it one more time, just to be on the safe side. Just do it one more time and destroy whatever we can. All right, Federato is done. Let's utilize our strengths. Looks like the last push of the Turkish army is gonna happen here, so when we crush them now, we should crush them quite thoroughly. Both them and Romania don't really have that much left. They've taken massive casualties. All right, and there we go. We make the final push now. Crush the Turkish army and see that we can't push across in one fell swoop. Since I know that I'm going to push out, I'm going to use a couple of units on, well, one of the units on Alexandropolis to try and take some territory already to get myself in a good position. Never mind, their tanks showed up. So yeah, so we'll have to be careful now if we push through that we make some encirclements in this side and in Edirne, so we don't push everyone into Istanbul and then have a horrible time crossing the strait. So that is something we need to be paying attention to. Your best bet is going to be using your mobile fast units to make the breaches, just so you can keep pushing and expand quickly. Do not give the Turks an opportunity to dig in behind the Bosporus. Destroy as much of their army on the European side as you can, and just keep pushing once you find an opening. And we are through. I'm going to turn off naval and port strike now. We'll mostly be using our air force to cover our ground forces. We've done the navy bits. We're done with those. Okay, so this is a perfect example of what should be happening here. We push in and keep pushing so their divisions never get a time to build entrenchment or to recover organization. And if that's not possible, what you want to be doing is defending, like we're doing here. One of their units is attacking out, and then immediately once combat ends, counterattack before they have a chance to recover organization. This will give you the easiest time to push across the Bosporus. I'm going to start making a couple of trucks, mostly because we need trucks for supply later on. 2 on trucks is what I want. I want 2 on towed artillery at some point. Don't worry, we'll not actually be making a lot of this ourselves. We can keep asking for stuff for now. Okay, we're across the strait, and because we kept pushing, they never managed to recover Org in Izmit, so this unit is very weak. We should be able to push out very quickly. Now we relocate the air force as well to the airbase in Istanbul and cover Asia Minor, so we have full air power. We are going to need it if we are going to push through here. If they manage to get enough units onto those tiles, we are screwed, but we are in luck. Yes, we pushed out. Okay, and with the front lines widening, I'll just set a field marshal order here. It's a little easier to manage. Now the plan is simple. Let the field marshal order run aggressively. Try to manually walk your units into open tiles, rush for victory points, encircle units where you can. Just go ham on Turkey. Just snake your way to victory points whenever you see an opening. They should not have a lot of units left at this point. No. And I see war support is where we want it to be. Let's go to total mobilization. And where are we? Women in the workforce. There. Considering how much foreign equipment you're using, now with world tension being high enough, we can actually cancel this German justification. We have no more use for it. Yeah, world tension is high enough, and Germany will pretty much be okay with us for now. You don't want that war goal anyway. It would just screw with you. There's the first negative event. Strikes. Took a long time. It's fine. Just pick the most expensive option. Not much else you can do about it. We will start building stability as we go through this tree. Plus, once the war is over, over. It should help, and we can illegally default on our debt, etc. We will rebuild this country into something that's a little less terrible. Right, utilize our strengths done. If we have defeated Turkey by now, we can continue on to this part of the tree. We don't have that yet. We need to destroy the Turks first, but while we wait, let's open foreign subsidized factories. This is one you usually do once you've finished these, if you are that quick. We're not, so foreign subsidized factories, and in preparation, just improve relations with the Soviets one more time, as well as the Germans. Just be sure they are above 80 opinion of you by the time the focus finishes. There we go. Turkey has capitulated, and now we simply take all states, and we are done and dusted. First things first, we have a button to press. Revive Byzantium. We have a very nice color, and we have a bunch of extra cores. Very nice. We'll also relocate our army to the Bulgarian border, and we can start our shenanigans. Okay, as timings go, we are doing okay, but I could speed things up by abandoning this focus. It will only cost us 7 days of progress, really, and then just get these focuses, especially the die is cast. We need this because it will allow us to create factions, and factions is what we need. I am going to move the navy to the Black Sea to prevent Romanian naval invasions, should any of them happen. Gonna move the air force over to Constantinople and spread them out on the south here, and we are going to go through our focus tree. We're now going to do Nenikikamen, couple of bonuses, very nice, and the die is cast. We need the die is cast, not for the research slot, because it will allow us to create factions. And why do we want to create factions? Well, our Bulgarian friends here. We are going to stab Bulgaria in the back. We're going to invite them to our faction, call them into the war with Romania, allow Romania to occupy them, and then kick Bulgaria from the faction. Yes, we can do that. It's stupid, but we can do that. And as a result, Bulgaria will be annexed and Romania weakened. And then we'll do some shenanigans with Yugoslavia as well, in a similar vein. And just keep adding to the units in the queue so it can keep asking for Lend-Lease. Lend-Lease is our lifeline here. All right, we can start. The die is cast, and that's when the real fun begins. We are going to solve our debt the Greek way by illegally defaulting. Click. And that should help our economy quite a bit. Suddenly, we have some stability again. Oh, now that does piss off Italy, and there will be no more Italian Lend-Lease forthcoming. All right, the die is cast. Next step, we are going to create a faction with Bulgaria. This is very important. There we go, the dawn of meme lords. Now, we could move up the entire army to the Bulgarian front just to make them feel comfortable. Otherwise, the AI might just get too scared to actually join our war. Meanwhile, let's quickly set another focus. We could do Byzantine Themata. This is not immediately important, but will be very useful when we can do these decisions to restore the Byzantine Empire. Or if you fancy, you could go for foreign subsidized factories. Just gonna do Byzantine Themata because I tend to forget this one if I don't do it now. And with our troops in position, we're gonna do the trick that we have been taught by the famed Hatless Spider. We're going to call Bulgaria to arms. They might just say no, or they just wait with saying yes. Don't worry. Don't worry. They will join. They can't help themselves. Well, that sure took them long enough. All right, Bulgaria has joined the war, and we are immediately withdrawing our entire army from the border. We are going to let Romania overrun Bulgaria. Anyway, with construction finishing, we're just going to start ramping up our military production. Everything that has a relatively high infrastructure, that is where we're going to start spamming out military factories. We are going to need a lot of mills. I don't even think I want to finish these factories in Attica. No, let's just finish up the infrastructure and then move on straight into mills, because our military industry is not great. Open those foreign subsidized factories. Make sure the Soviets and Germans have an opinion of you above 80. Can you believe the nerve of these guys trying to defend themselves? Come on, man, you're screwing the player over. All right, there goes Bulgaria. Kick them from the faction. And a peace deal has occurred. Romania has annexed the Bulgarians. Now, we will delete our faction. No more meme lords. And we're gonna create a new faction. This time with Yugoslavia. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. The dawn of meme lords 2. I'm just gonna do a little bit of military reorganization because I'm getting mighty confused with where my units are. And call to arms. They will join eventually. They'll just need some time to put troops on a border and I guess do some calculations. Right, foreign factories have opened, so that's a couple of fresh factories. Great. And I would just continue down this focus tree. Pick up the best things you can, such as luxury commodities. Either go with mining operations or tobacco. I think tobacco is the better choice. And then either tourism or mobilize the economy. Something can be said for both of them. While we're here, we can spend some more political power. We do have a nice amount. And we are going to befriend the communists for some more very lovely bonuses. Happy communists. Everybody's getting along in this country. It's great. Come on. Oh, there we go. Yugoslavia's in. And we are immediately pulling our army out of here down to the southern border with Yugoslavia, and we're gonna put a good amount of units there, like 2 armies worth. All my mobile units are there, and I've put 1 infantry army there. The other infantry army is covering our direct border with Romania. Now we wait until we can kick these guys from the faction. Yes, I know, we're very treacherous. We got more political power. At this point, I'm gonna stop telling you what to do with it. My recommendations are get this guy just to get your fascism support up. It sounds stupid, but we could really use some of that support. And then, of course, expand the army. And November 6th is here. There we go. We are going to kick Yugoslavia from the faction. And we are immediately going to justify a war goal for, let's say, Macedonia. Takes 60 days. And again, we disband our Meme Lords faction. You know what? We're going to create another faction. Meme Lords 3. This time with Italy. Yes, we defaulted on our debts, but they still like us well enough. And we're going to be using Italy as a sledgehammer to take out both Romania and Yugoslavia. Well, technically, we could probably do this on our own. They'll both be extremely weakened, but it helps to have them involved because we need to do some very funny things with their territory. And the economy is mobilized. Now, for the rest of these focuses, just take whatever boosts your country the most. You've got some nice industry bonuses here, some good military bonuses there. It doesn't really matter that much. We have built pretty much all of the strength we're gonna build at this point. Now, as for doctrines, I'm going to switch over to superior firepower. It's probably a better choice, and it's going to give us some nice options. We are ready. We're going to declare war on Yugoslavia, and we're going to call our allies in. We want Italy in on this. We'll split the loot with them. It's fine, and we're just going to go all in. Aggressive, and all of our air force can just support. Shouldn't be too difficult. Together with Italy, we really should not have any difficulties dealing with Yugoslavia. Our units may be trash, but we have a lot of them. Yeah, Yugoslavia's gone, pretty much. There we go. Now we just need to make a good peace deal here. What we want is for the Italian border to be as disgusting as possible. Obviously, we want the southern bits of the country, which might be a little on the pricey side, but we should have enough political power to make this happen. Or sorry, war participation. Okay, I realize that this looks extremely disgusting. Trust me, it's fine. Now we are just going to fix up the rest of the front here. Make sure we extend it all the way, and ideally we want to call Italy into that war with Romania at some point. So I'll just get everybody to the border now. We are going to be taking out Romania, and we can deal with this problem with just an ordinary offensive. Romania is all out of gas at this point. There we go. We are victorious once more. Now we have a lot more war participation here. So we want everything south of the river here. And we also want Muntentia and southern Bessarabia. And that is pretty much the important bits. We're going to end the turn here. Now what we're going to do next is to give a lot of land, mostly along this border, to the Italians. I know it looks disgusting, so everything except Moldova and Transylvania can go to Italy. And now we simply puppet what's left of Romania. Alright, so what that did is give us a Romanian puppet. That is one of the 3 countries we need to puppet. We need a Romanian, an Italian, and a Russian puppet. So that's 1 down. And what it also does is give Italy a disgustingly long border with us. They are going to be so overstretched. We're going to deploy all of the units we can, and we're going to maximize the amount of units we can put on this border. Of course, our next step is going to be to immediately kick them from our faction. Yes, bye-bye, the Meme Lords 3 are done for. Now, that gives us a truce until April of 39. That should be enough time to declare on Italy before they join the German faction, which is what we are going to do next. We're going to disband our our faction. Bada bing, bada boom. And we're going to buddy up to the German faction, and we are now in the Axis. We're not going to call Germany in for that fight. We can take Italy on our own, but we are definitely going to distract a lot of Italian troops on that border. Now, the reason we had to rush through all of this is because Italy will eventually join the Axis. There we go. The truce is gone, and we are immediately going to declare war on Italy. This is going to be funny. I don't know how well this is going to go, but in theory, we will crush them. There we go. Now, first things first, obliterate the front in Albania. We don't want them to get any more troops in here. I just forgot one very, very important thing. Let's put some troops in this region of our country. Okay, so as I was saying, make sure you guard the Dodecanese Islands. I completely forgot those existed, so I've quickly deployed some troops there. I hope that will be enough. And we're going to attack at the thinnest points of our line. Just always just try to push through to wherever the front line is really, really thin to try and create massive encirclements and just aggressively attack. I'm gonna slow the game way down, and I hope to God we can make this work. It is going to be interesting either way. Okay, Operation Encircle and Destroy is going very well. We've essentially cut off all Italian units in the Balkan. Well, most. This is going to be ridiculously expensive though, so Lend-Lease, Germany. Lend-Lease, baby. Alright, the Bessarabian pockets destroyed. That's good. I can reassign those units elsewhere. And Albania is also collapsing. Good. Really, AI. Last stands. Ooh, that is a huge amount of Italian divisions we're gonna crush there. Oh, they're gonna feel that one. You know, the Italian army has shrunk significantly, and we are once again pushing. There are some red bubbles, but they cannot hold. I'm using all of their own guns against them. All we gotta do now is walk into Italy. And that gives us our first decisions. A triumph for the Balkans. We control all of the required states. So it's pretty much everything south of what Romania has here. So all the Romanian coastal states. You need Muntentia, Oltentia, and Banat. And then everything else in the Balkans, really. And that gives us cores. Oh, there goes the sad excuse of the Italian army. Oh, I had so many of them trapped in this little tip of Istria. I want to see the casualties. 77,000 casualties in that one tile. And World War II's kicked off, but that's none of our concern. Not yet, at least. Yeah, there goes Italy. And pass a few times. We're just gonna take all states. Then I'm gonna unclick Sardinia and the turn here and puppet Italy and Sardinia. That should give us another button to press. A triumph for Italy. Next order of business. We are going to set up our troops on the front with the allies. So an army against France and 2 armies in Africa. And we'll see what else. One thing I should have done but did not because I am kind of stupid is just to give all of this land here to Romania. It would have been far better to give this stuff to Romania. That way I would not have to occupy it myself. Anyway, we've waited long enough. Let's just help Germany deal with the threat of France. Justify a war goal, retake core state. No, actually, what am I doing here? Simply join the war, German-British war, there we go, and set everybody to go, 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 go. And we have taken the Suez. Ah, love it. Well, we've almost taken the Suez. Come on. Rest of Africa seems to be a total collapse of allied strength. No idea where everybody's went, but I can accept this. This is going extremely well. Let's click another button. Triumph for the Levant. More core territory. We are getting disgusting amounts of core territory here. Well, will you look at that? Triumph for Egypt and Tunis. More cores, and we now have the maximum amount of cores the Byzantine Empire can get. We are massive, baby. Now, I'm just gonna knock out the allies, and I'm gonna call it there. All we have to do at that point is just steamroll the Soviet Union together with Germany, which is really no challenge at this point. Our industry is pumping. We are badass. I'm still using the original templates. I'm gonna add artillery to them now because, well, why not? There's no stopping you now. All right, our glorious navy has arrived. Let's set them to naval invasion. Oh, they're repairing. Once they're repaired, I'm gonna set them to naval invasion support in the North Sea and Eastern North Sea. I'm gonna launch a naval invasion of the UK. They shouldn't have too much left. They're fighting on so many fronts at once. I should be able to deal with this with one army. I'm sending infantry across, and I'm also going to send some of my motorized across. I've changed this template into something a little more aggressive. This should do nicely. All right, so the Soviets have started justifying on our territory, and I could fight them really easily. Simply need to pull these guys out of Africa, pull these guys back to the front, and just sit on that border, defend this border, defend that border. Germany's gonna come in. Together we will utterly and completely crush the Soviets. I have no doubt about that. Or I could just give all of this back to Romania and it will invalidate that justification. It doesn't really matter what we do. We'll see. All right, naval invasion's off. Meanwhile, I am rushing all of my troops back to guard my borders. Ports are guarded, but we should be able to make some landings. All right, troops are landing, so we'll be supporting the naval invasions and starting to take some land. Yeah, once we break Hull, that's it. I'm gonna flood the rest of my troops in and we are going to do quite a number on the UK. All right, time to party. Yeah, I don't even need to micromanage this. This is just gonna be a walk in the park. Oh, we're just dunking on them. There's nothing they can do to stop me. Yeah, I think the UK is gone. And that concludes World War II by August 1940. I'd say that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So let's take what we can and call it a day. And with that, we're done. I had to stop myself before the peace scale got too disgusting. So we are at almost our peak size. If we could just eat the Spanish, we would be all the way there. Just a little bit of cleanup left to do. And all we really need now for bad romance is to eat the Soviet Union, turn one of their states into a puppet, and release Italy. That's the last thing you want to do before you end this run, though, because that is a lot of course we'd be giving away. Anyway, this has been my take on the mighty Byzantine Empire, and it very much shows that it is definitely possible even with no step back. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell icon, and give Atlas Spider another massive thanks. He is the genius behind much of this strategy, especially the Bulgarian gambit. That is clever. Anyway, check out this next video. Sure you'll love it.